The equestrian and horse racing world is mourning the loss of a truly remarkable horse. Trusted Company, believed to be the last surviving daughter of the legendary Secretariat, has passed away at the extraordinary age of 34. For many people outside of horse racing, this may sound like the passing of an elderly mare who lived a long and happy life. But for those who understand the history of the sport, her death represents something much deeper. It marks the loss of one of the final living connections to a horse whose accomplishments changed racing forever, and whose name remains synonymous with greatness more than half a century after he first stepped onto the track. Across social media, racing fans and horse lovers have been sharing photographs, memories, and heartfelt tributes. Many have described this moment as the end of an era. It is easy to understand why. Trusted Company was more than just a descendant of a famous horse. She was part of a living legacy. Every year she remained with us was another year that horse lovers could look at her and know that a direct daughter of Secretariat was still here, quietly carrying a piece of history forward. To truly appreciate why her passing has touched so many hearts, we have to go back to the beginning of one of the greatest stories ever told in sports. The year was 1973. Horse racing was already deeply woven into American culture, but it had been decades since the sport had witnessed a horse capable of capturing the imagination of an entire nation. Then came a powerful chestnut colt named Secretariat, known affectionately as Big Red. He possessed a combination of speed, stamina, intelligence, and heart that seemed almost impossible. From the moment he began racing, people sensed that they were watching something special. As a 2-year-old, Secretariat dominated his competition. He won 7 races and was named Horse of the Year, an honor rarely given to a horse so young. Even then, expectations for his 3-year-old season were enormous. Fans hoped he might become the first Triple Crown winner since Citation in 1948. Yet even the most optimistic supporters could not have predicted what would happen next. The Kentucky Derby arrived in May of 1973, and Secretariat delivered a performance that still amazes racing experts today. Most horses gradually slow down throughout a race as fatigue begins to set in. Secretariat did exactly the opposite. He ran every quarter mile faster than the one before it, an astonishing achievement that remains virtually unheard of. As he crossed the finish line, the clock stopped at 1 minute and 59.4 seconds. More than 50 years later, that record still stands. 2 weeks later, he won the Preakness Stakes, setting up a chance to make history in the Belmont Stakes. The atmosphere leading up to the race was electric. Fans packed Belmont Park, hoping to witness something special. What they witnessed instead was one of the greatest athletic performances ever recorded. As the race unfolded, Secretariat began pulling away from his rivals. Then he kept pulling away and pulling away. Soon the race was no longer a competition. It was a demonstration of complete dominance. The famous call from announcer Chick Anderson still echoes through racing history. Secretariat is widening now. He is moving like a tremendous machine. When Secretariat crossed the finish line, he was an unbelievable 31 lengths ahead of the field. 31 lengths. The margin was so extraordinary that many people watching could hardly believe what they had seen. His final time of 2 minutes and 24 seconds shattered records and remains the fastest Belmont Stakes ever run. To this day, many sports historians consider it one of the greatest performances by any athlete in any sport. That victory secured the Triple Crown and transformed Secretariat from a champion racehorse into a legend. Even people who never followed horse racing knew his name. Children grew up hearing stories about him. Newspapers covered him. Television networks replayed his races. Books were written about him. Documentaries examined his greatness. Movies introduced his story to entirely new generations. Very few athletes ever achieved that level of cultural impact. Secretariat did. What made him so fascinating was not simply that he won races. It was the way he won them. He seemed capable of doing things that should not have been possible. Scientists and veterinarians spent decades studying his physical attributes. His heart was believed to be significantly larger than average, helping explain his remarkable stamina. His stride length was extraordinary. Every detail seemed to reinforce the same conclusion. Secretariat was not merely a great racehorse. He was one of the greatest athletes ever born. When Secretariat died in 1989, the racing world grieved. Yet his legacy continued through his offspring and descendants. His bloodline spread throughout racing, influencing generations of horses. Many successful racehorses carried his genetics somewhere in their pedigree. However, direct offspring are different. They provide a living, tangible connection to history. That is where trusted company becomes so important. Born in 1991, Trusted Company entered the world nearly 2 decades after her father's Triple Crown triumph. While she never achieved the international fame that surrounded Secretariat, she gradually became something unique. As the years passed and other offspring of Secretariat grew older and passed away, Trusted Company found herself occupying a very special place in the hearts of racing fans. She became one of the last direct links to Big Red. Then she became one of only a handful. Eventually, she became what many believed was the final surviving daughter of Secretariat. With each passing year, her significance grew. Every birthday she celebrated was shared across horse racing communities. Fans followed updates about her health. They celebrated milestones. They admired photographs showing her still enjoying life in retirement. People understood that they were witnessing something increasingly rare. They were witnessing history still alive. For those fortunate enough to meet Trusted Company in person, the experience was often emotional. Visitors frequently described a feeling that is difficult to put into words. On the surface, they were simply standing beside an elderly mare. Yet they were also standing beside a direct descendant of one of the most famous racehorses who ever lived. Many visitors found themselves imagining Secretariat. They thought about the famous Belmont Stakes. They thought about the crowds, the roaring grandstands, the impossible records, the unforgettable images. Standing beside Trusted Company made those memories feel closer now. It transformed history from something found in books and videos into something real and tangible. One of the most remarkable aspects of Trusted Company's story was her longevity. Horses typically live between 25 and 30 years. Reaching the age of 34 is an extraordinary accomplishment. It requires excellent genetics, exceptional veterinary care, proper nutrition, careful management, and a great deal of dedication from the people responsible for the horse's well-being. Trusted Company was fortunate to receive exactly that kind of care. Throughout her retirement, she was surrounded by people who understood how meaningful she was to the horse community. They ensured she enjoyed comfort, security, and dignity throughout her later years. Her long life became a testament not only to her own resilience, but also to the advances in equine care that have allowed horses to live longer and healthier lives. As news of her passing spread throughout the horse world, tributes began pouring in almost immediately. Fans shared photographs taken during visits. Racing historians reflected on her unique place in thoroughbred history. Horse owners posted messages expressing sadness and gratitude. Many spoke not only about Trusted Company herself, but about what she represented. She represented continuity. She represented memory. She represented the enduring power of a story that began more than 50 years ago. What makes horses so special is their ability to connect with people on an emotional level, unlike many other animals. Horse owners often describe their horses as family members. Riders build partnerships based on trust and understanding. Racing fans become attached to horses they have never even met because they admire their courage, determination, and spirit. Secretariat embodied all of those qualities. Trusted company carried them forward. Although she lived a quieter life away from the spotlight, she became an ambassador for her father's legacy simply by existing. Her presence reminded people that history is not always confined to photographs and archives. Sometimes history grazes peacefully in a pasture. Sometimes history looks back at you with kind eyes and a gentle expression. As we say goodbye to trusted company, many people are also reflecting on the broader legacy of Secretariat. His records still stand. His races are still studied. His influence continues to shape thoroughbred breeding programs around the world. Young racing fans who are born decades after his death still discover his story and become fascinated by what he accomplished. That is the mark of true greatness. True greatness does not disappear when the cheering stops. It does not fade when the trophies are put away. It survives through stories, through memories, through inspiration, through the lives touched by extraordinary achievements. Trusted company helped preserve that greatness for more than 3 decades. She served as a living reminder of one of the most extraordinary athletes the world has ever known. While her passing is undeniably sad, there is also comfort in knowing that she lived an exceptionally long life surrounded by admiration, respect, and care. Few horses are fortunate enough to leave behind such a legacy. Today, horse lovers around the world pause to remember a gentle mare who carried history with her every day of her life. They remember the champion who made her existence so significant. They remember the races that changed the sport forever. They remember the emotions that horses uniquely inspire within us. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. Records matter, trophies matter, championships matter. But what truly endures are the connections that horses create with people. Those connections can span generations. They can outlast careers. They can outlast lifetimes. Trusted company may be gone, but the story she represented will continue to inspire horse lovers for generations to come. The legend of Secretariat remains as powerful today as it was in 1973. And thanks to horses like Trusted Company, that legend has remained alive and tangible for decades. Rest peacefully, Trusted Company. You were more than the daughter of a champion. You were a living piece of history. And although the final chapter has now been written, neither your story nor the story of Secretariat will ever be forgotten.